Swayam Prabha. Digital India. Educated India.
Hello, welcome everyone. My name is Professor Gaurav Bhomik from the Agriculture and Food Engineering Department of IIT Kharagpur. So today I'll be discussing about the introduction of crab culture, which is like continuation of the last lecture only. This is the last lecture from this module, technology of crustacea farming, for this course, advanced aquaculture technology. The concepts that I'll be covering in this particular lecture series, in this lecture would be like the box culture and the vertical recirculatory aquaculture system type mud crab farming. Remember, earlier we have already discussed two of them, and this is the third and the fourth type of farming systems that we'll be discussing today. The site selection for the mud crab culture, what will be the optimum site, what the optimum criteria for selecting a site for aquaculture system for a mud crab culture, soil and water requirement, harvesting of mud crab, packing and tying of crabs after the harvesting is done, strategies to manage the cost and the increased income from mud crab culture. Other than that, the constraint of mud crab farming in India and how to troubleshoot them. So, in general, you remember we already discussed two of the mud crab farming techniques, and so this is the third one, the box culture, that we will be discussing today on an innovative, and it's actually a very standard methods now. Even in India also people are going for it, this kind of culture systems, where an innovative capital intensive box culture method are shown for the grow instead of for the crab grow out, and it is like much better than the grow out techniques that we normally follow that are there for this crab culture. In this kind of systems, the fattening is largely done whereas the grow out is carried out in a lesser scale. So, mainly it is like a mixture of grow out techniques and the fattening techniques, but mostly in the fattening techniques. Okay, so fattening techniques is mostly done, like largely done, and the grow out is done in a lesser scale. So, fattening in box cages for a 200-gram crab, just for example, results in a 25 to 50 gram weight in a single month. So, which continues for 9 to 10 months in a year. So, so just imagine, like it will be like it will give you a large amount of economic benefit for this kind of culture systems. And when grow out culture is carried out, then the crabs obtained from the nurseries are stocked in boxes at a rate of like 1 crab per box, and is cultured for 4 to 6 months to attain around 300 to 900 gram of weight for this Serrata species. So, what are the advantages and the disadvantages of this kind of systems? First of all, box culture, it involves very low maintenance, ease of assessment and the predictability. It can be carried out indoors using the flow through or the recirculatory aquaculture systems, where there is a scarcity of land and water, because it's in a box and you can just have a proper system, proper conduit line available for it, and you can have a flow through system. You can utilize the flow through systems, or you can utilize some additional biofilter to treat the water and put it back again. Okay, so that is under the recirculatory aquaculture system that we call. So, that way also you can go ahead and you can utilize the water more like as much as possible. So, by this way you can reduce the overall water demand of the systems, and also you can increase the the environmental impact. You can reduce the environmental impact. What are the disadvantages of this kind of system? Is like it requires a high capital investment in general, okay, because of you need some equipment, some box in general. For each crab you have to have a single box for it. lower activity of crab culture, it reduces their metabolism and subsequent feed intake, because they have a very limited space to dwell, and so they become, their metabolism rate goes down and the subsequent feed intake also becomes down, and which definitely have a proper impact on their meat, on their the biomass. So, other than that, the lower activity of the cultured crab along with the constant exposure to the sunlight, it results in an algae infestation sometimes. So, that is a major issue sometimes, we have to worry about it, and sometimes people put a proper anti like some kind of painting or some kind of what we call it, like proper you can do this fouling, anti-foulant and all, you can paint it or this boxes, so that not it will be very difficult for the biofilm to attach to its surface. So, because of that we can go for different techniques. There are like thousands of techniques for this anti-biofoulant painting. So, not only the anti-biofoulant, but also like this algae also, they can also be infested. So, how to get rid of it? There are thousands of techniques available with it, but still it is it has some, it needs some capital cost. So, it does not make sense. So, that is why sometimes like it is one of the disadvantages part of this, one of the cons part of this box culture. So, it looks like this. If you see this box, this in single crab is like they are in the same box, and like this they are like hanging from our bamboo structures, and from the bamboo they will be almost half dipped or like full dipped inside the water, or sometimes even a little bit above the water is also okay if the water level goes down for 1 or 2 days, because like they can survive with it. In case of vertical recirculatory aquaculture systems, it's an actually emerging technology that is coming out, where it involves the biofilters, sand filters, UV filters, which all are connected to each other via specially designed vertically stacked mud crab boxes. What they do, they treat the water so that it will get rid of the, once that water is utilized, then the water is it's like wastewater, right? After the crab culture, it's like wastewater. That wastewater is again treated using all this filter mechanism, biofilter, sand filter, UV filter. It all has its definite properties or definite functionality, right? The biofilter, why the biofilters are used? Biofilters are mainly used to get rid of all the carbonaceous and the nitrogenous compound in general, which is a very high in case of this culture procedures and farming techniques and all. So, in order to get rid of the carbonaceous and the nitrogenous species, we go for biofilters, where the microorganisms are artificially grown, which will consume this nitrogen and carbon from the wastewater, and they will develop their biomass, and the water which is coming out of this biofilter are free of those nitrogen. It is not completely free, they can reduce the load, okay, this pollutant load. Then you can, if you talk about the sand filters, in general we can put it before actually. So, sand filters are what for what purpose? It will get rid of all the suspended solid present in your plant. So, all that because of the high turbide water, because it is a brackish water, it generally has a very high turbidity and all. So, these sand filters, what they do, they will reduce the suspended solid level of this kind of water systems and all. So, and at the end, this why we go for UV filter, it's just an example. Don't go for it like it's only UV filter that you need to use. You can use ozonator and all these things also. There are advanced oxidation techniques. There are like lot of techniques, technology available in this field, where those are mainly being used to reduce the microbial content. What does that mean? It will reduce the pathogenic concentration, pathogenic microorganism content in the water. So, the water which is after the treatment is done in these different treatment units, then the water which is, then that water is again thrown back to the this pond or the culture system, or so that what will happen, you are reducing the overall water intake, okay, because water comes with a price, no matter if it is like a pumping system, it is a conveyance systems, it comes with a price. So, you are reducing the water intake by utilizing the same water over and over again, okay. So, that is why it is called the recirculatory aquaculture systems. Why it is called vertical? Because you can design it vertically by some different filters at different stage, put the water, once it is done, once the water is utilized, then you put the water, like use the pump to the reservoir, and from reservoir through gravity it will come through the, it will go through different system, recirculating aquaculture system, different filters, and it will again come to the pond itself, come to the culture pond itself or the culture tank itself. It ensures very strict control over the water quality, as I already mentioned, and also facilitates the observation of the cultured caps. It's less affordable for the small farmers because of its high initial investment or the capital investment. However, there are a lot of policies that is available right now. The bank loans are available right now. Government policies, as I told, like this is available right now, for which you can go ahead with, like just pay, say, like if it takes X amount of money, you just have to pay like 0.1x or 0.2x by yourself. As a farmer, you just have to make sure you have that much of an amount. Then the rest of it will be covered by the banking system, by the government grants, etc. and etc. Because these are the techniques that government is trying to promote. The banks are very much ready to give you loan for this kind of systems, and they are having with a very low investment loan, low interest loan, or sometimes interest free loans also you will get it. So you can use those opportunity and you can go ahead with it. Okay, so there are business strategy that you can develop if you want to go for if you want to go for this kind of crab culture in your village, in your like coastal region, in wherever you are. So you just want to go for that. There are opportunities available. So don't just lose the hope that just because it's a high initial involvement involved with it, you cannot do anything with it. You cannot do anything because of that. There are a lot of opportunities lies with it. In general, the vertically stacked mud crab boxes installed in pond systems along with the lifting and sinking mechanisms can be less expensive and innovative alternatives for the farmers. See, this is the vertical recirculatory aquaculture system type of mud crab box culture. If you see, so all these box are actually contains the crabs, and there we have either vertical or maybe horizontal systems which are involved with it. So in general, the site selection for the, if you want to go for, if you ask me like before starting a mud crab culture, what are the basic things, very important parameters that you have to look for before going for designing your farm. So the first thing will come into your mind is like the site selection, right? Definitely we go for that thing first, like where we gonna build our farm. For this mud crab culture, those like mangrove areas which are sheltered from the strong waves and the winds should be selected. Why I say so? If you go to the Sundarban, it is the one, it has a very nice mangrove belt in its southern part of them. Like the moment it reaches, like in its where the land in the coastal regions, right? So these mangrove areas are actually very enriched, and they enriched with the proper site available, proper quality of soil, proper quality of the sea water, proper quality of saline water available for the mud crab culture. What you need to do, you need to select the site properly. So you have this proper mangrove region, where these mangrove regions are, what they are doing, they are reducing, they are kind of an energy dissipating structure, right? When this sea waves are coming, it will dissipate, it will reduce the wave energy by crashing on them. So what will happen, these mangroves are actually helping to reduce the land erosion and all. Not only that, it will help to grow, like the other side of the this mangrove area, you can utilize it for your site, for your growing your this mud crab and all. Okay, so it's in general you just go for a safe and secure area, so that there is a less chances of getting any stealing your product or farm products and all. Mainly you should go for the unpopulated area. So mainly you should go for the unpopulated area. Why it is to be selected? Because it can prevent the runoff or the pesticides or the fertilizers from the local farms, right? The pens should be located away from the sources of fresh water or the runoff areas. The pens should also be placed in areas that allows them to be partially submerged at low tides and also support a good fresh seawater flow all the time. Okay. The requirement of the mud crab culture, the soil quality. If I talk about the soil quality, definitely you should go for the sandy clay or the sandy soil. It is the most suitable soil type for the mud crab culture. You know the reason, right? Because sandy bottom, this like they digits the burrowing. So which is like that's what they do, this mat crab. So you have to have a proper sandy clay or the proper sandy soil in your system in this as a soil. The water requirement, the brackish water is the most ideal for crab fattening, as Scylla serrata has. It is very much tolerant. They can be easily, they are tolerable. They are actually tolerant to the wide range of saline conditions, and you see like optimum range can be from 15 to 30 ppt, which is like very high. So it can be as low as the like normal brackish water to even standard seawater also. It can easily sustain. It can easily survive. Other than that, the water temperature has to be around 23 to 32 degrees Celsius. Water depth has to be less than more than 80 centimeter in general. The DO concentration, which is like dissolved oxygen concentration, has to be more than 4 ppm for sure. 4 ppm or the 4 milligram per liter for sure. pH slightly basic range, 8 to 8.5 is like perfect for them to grow. Pond preparation and the management, if we talk about the small tidal ponds of around like 0.025 to 0.1 hectare, you have to choose with a 0.5 to 1 meter depth of water should be there at least. The pond bottom must be sandy to prevent any burrowing. Okay. The bunds should have a minimum width of 1 meter at the top. So, and also as crabs have a tendency to escaping by burrowing through the bunds, so you have to have as thick bund as possible, so they don't go they cannot escape very easily. The risk of crab escape by climbing over the bunds can be stopped by fixing the overhanging fence inclined towards the pond. Fencing of height around 0.5 meter to 1 meter should be done over the dike using the materials like bamboo sticks, fiberglass, asbestos sheets, etc. So like if you're rich enough, go for asbestos sheets and fiberglass. Definitely it's not possible for them to for your crab or for your culture crab to escape from your system. So use of the sluice gates fitted with the bamboo screens to prevent the crab escape and to regulate the flow of tidal water. So the sluice gate, when it opens, at the end it touch with this bamboo screens. So the bamboo screens are always there. So moment the sluice gate will open, still the bamboo grabs are there. Bamboo screens are there. Because of bamboo screens, water will come in or water will go out in the drainage channel or incoming seawater, but the crabs which is there in your farming, it cannot escape through it. Also, after draining out the water, it should be properly completely dried before liming to prevent the entry of any pathogen or pathogenic microorganisms. Okay, and just remember, like for pathogens is the one like which is harmful microorganisms for that particular type of species. So which is pathogen? The pathogenic microorganisms for us may not be pathogen for other kind of culture species and all. So it depends upon the species to species. The stocking during the mud crab culture for better yield and monoculture is preferred in general, but you can go for polyculture as well. It will give you higher return. Soft shell crab with like more than 9 centimeter width of carapace, or crabs having more than 575 gram of weight should be stocked, and stocking density can be in between 1 to 3 crabs per square meter. Well, it depends upon the what type of culture. If you go for cage culture, it can be as high as 10 crabs per square meter, which will definitely increase your productivity like anything. So that's why people are started going for the cage culture nowadays for crab farming. In terms of feed management, the crabs are fed daily with the trash fish or the bivalve meat, boiled chicken waste, brackish water clams at 5 to 10% of their body weight. So they are really non-vegetarian mostly, but they are actually okay with the vegetarians, like the plants as well. Okay, so proper, if you can provide them with the proper plant materials like which they normally prefer to have, they will definitely have it. So but make sure that it is at least 5 to 10% of the body weight of feed is always available for them to have, so they're for their normal growth and physical benefits. Okay, so in general, if you see the stage of their rearing from their this Joan stage, from J1 stage, or we call it Joan 1, Joan 2, Joan 3, Joan 4, Joan 5 to megalopa to crab instar to the maturation stage. Okay, so all these stages at different stages, their feeding habits can be different. Like, I mean, like, come on, you just don't go for trash fishes on the very first day. They cannot just have it. They can have it, they can grow very easily if there is like rotifiers available. They have the Artemias available at a certain stage after a couple of days. This Artemia seeds, they can have it, this like, you know, this brine shrimps and all, they can have it, and they can grow very fast because of this animal protein. Then you can have the formulated diet with proper depending upon the size of the your like farming species. You can go for this nanochrome and all. You can, water replacement is also important based on this their structure, based on their how to say, their maturation stage. So, in general 30 to 60% every 5 days is required at the initial days, but it can be reduced down to up to 50% at the later stage, because they do not create much of a pollutants at the end, because, well, theoretically they should, but actually the area which we actually normally provide them with is also vary. The volume which provide them with is also high at the later stage. So, because of that, the volume requirement for the freshwater exchanges become it's reduced a little bit. The salinity requirement is also around 30 to 30 ppt at the max, and 32 ppt at the max, and it can be 24 to 30 ppt in the later stage as well. So, once everything is done, the crab reaches its mature stage. How to harvest it? Like, you need to harvest it from the system, from here. So, there are different methods available for harvesting of mud crabs. The mud crabs are normally harvested by hardening their shell and just before their next molting season. It is done by using the scooping nets, you know, or by the simply hand picking if it's like you have a small farm. It is recommended to pick the crabs includes, like, you know, in general the early in the morning or the evening, where, you know, they are less active. Okay. The crabs are then washed to remove any dirt particles. Then their legs are tied carefully without breaking and injuring them. I will show you how to tie it, okay, in the later slides. After harvesting, they should be kept in a moist condition away from the direct sunlight, so it might have a negative effect on their survival. So, in general, we use the twine or raffia or a strip of fibrous forest vines used to restrain the crab with their leg and claws held beside and under the body. The mud crabs should be submerged and washed in a basin seawater for, say, like 2 to 3 minutes before the packing. Then it is arranged. These crabs are arranged neatly in a woven, this coconut leaf baskets. Or the cartoons during the packing of such as the leg, like, you know, sumerets are placed downwards with the face and the claws are facing upwards. Okay, face and the claws are facing upwards. So, after arranging the crabs, they are covered using the mangrove leaves and wet cloths to maintain the moisture. And it's okay if you want to sold it far away, it will go for like more than a week of transportation. Then the crabs must be sprinkled with seawater after every 2 to 3 hours, or at least you have a provision to, you know, drop the seawater from the above after every 2 to 3 hours, or it will keep on dropping at a regular manner. So, you have to kind of arrange that situation, arrange that mechanism or system. So, in general, the secure and the safe tying of crabs, how it is done, you see the pictures very carefully, like how we tie the crabs, so that it will not be having any negative impact on their livelihood, on their life, like, you know, during the transportation. So, we will start with the rope in the underside of the crab, and we will put both of its sumerets, okay, like both ends between the sumerets and the third walking leg towards the carapace. Next, we will flip the crab over on the other side. Now, we will wind each end of the rope around like, you know, each claw of the crab twice, like 1 or 2 times, okay, both of its claws, and then we will pull it towards the sumerets under the third walking leg of the crab. Okay. Just look at the third picture now. So, now we will pull the rope above the sumerets and tie the knot firmly at the bottom. Okay. So, by this way we normally go for the secure tying of crabs. Okay. Once this secure tying of crabs, or like we tie the crabs properly, then it is ready to transport very easily to the for its transportation purpose, even for the long duration as well. In case of pickup or delivery takes more than a day, the crabs must be submerged for an hour in a basin of fresh seawater and then are covered in a wet cloth to retain the moisture. Okay. So it looks like this if you see it clearly. So it looks like this. From the picture, the figure 5 that you can see the packed mud crabs, how it looks like. Okay. So there are, what are the strategies to manage the cost and increase the income from mud crab culture? Okay, this is very important for whoever is very much interested, and maybe you are in the bachelor stage or master stage, but you are interested in future to go and becoming an entrepreneur by yourself. So you have to abide by some strategies, so to manage the cost and all for your farm. So proper maintenance of the mud crab farm must be ensured to avoid any unnecessary expenses towards repairs and all. Okay, you have to design the dikes accordingly, the pond bottom accordingly, so that the type of soil that you are providing them with, like it has to be proper. The culture system, the proper fencing, the dike, the width, the water salinity, the quality of water, all these things has to be properly maintained. Okay. The farm surrounding must to be checked very regularly and protected from the damages. Number of mud crabs fattening the pens should be increased. The mortality of the mud crab can be reduced by carefully handling and consistently feeding the crabs, right. You can increase the yield of mud crab using proper fattening process and effective harvesting procedures. You can maintain the regular restocking of pens by selling the crabs. So what you can do, you can just develop a procedure in such a way so that you will have a production year-wise round. Okay. Suppose you are introducing the crabs in your system, and you know that after 3 months you will get your, after 4 months you will get your, it will reach the maturation stage. So after every week you start providing structuring the system. So if you, after every week if you start structuring the system, so from the beginning of from the commencement of your farm, after 4 months you will get the first return. After 1 week you will get the second return. The moment you will get the first return, you will replace it with the with the juvenile Joan crabs again. Okay, so you will keep on getting the benefits year long. So because it depends upon the structure, and especially in the pen culture it is doable because you don't have to worry about much of a water, no water exchange and all. It is done automatically, right. You just need to provide them with the feed if it requires, and definitely it requires, because you are, sometimes we go for a semi-intensive or even intensive one, so definitely it requires. So you just provide them with the proper food, so to have a higher economic benefit, and that's it. In general, if you see the Skyla species, there are 3 types of parameters that we discuss here about, like the 3 types of culture species. Culture we discuss monoculture, polyculture, and the fattening. If you go for monoculture, it can go like culture period is like around 120 days, polyculture 138 days, fattening is around 30 days. The production around like maximum is around, in case of polyculture, definitely, because you are also getting some milkfish out of it it's for this particular study. But if you go for this kind of polyculture, you will get a lot of benefit, because the same utilizing the same pond, same farm, you will get 2 or 3 species together. So that why not to go for that? It will definitely increase your income, and it will provide you with the higher net profit. As you can see from the last row, the net profit per crop is like in rupees, which is around 12,800 rupees in case of polyculture. This is just a symbolic figure. This is just an example from a particular study. This is not representing the actual values. Okay, I'm again saying this is not representing the actual values. This is just to give you an idea about the why to go for these polyculture systems. If you go for these polyculture systems, you can have a milkfish, you can have a prawn in the same system, same unit, and you can double your income. Okay. So what are the constraints of mud crab farming in India? It largely depends on the collection of wild seeds, thus posing a threat to the wild population. That's a major problem. Lack of commercial feed mills, along with the absence of dedicated mass mud crab feed manufacture, compelled to the farmers to use the low cost fresh feed. So there should be in India, there should be a proper crab feed manufacturing units. So you can easily imagine the demand of this kind of system, this kind of technologies in near future. Okay, so you just need to find out what is the correct composition of the feed that mud crab would like to have, and based on that you just make a proper arrangement and just make the feed and just make it production the you know as a business model, and then just can go ahead with it. So there is a lot of future in the research and also in the entrepreneurship point of view in case of mud crab farming in India. Okay. One of the disadvantages of low cost fresh feed includes it's the very fast spoilage and their need to have storage facilities, and because of that it is not a good choice sometimes. It can cause a lot of harm to the local farmers and a lot of in terms of economic return. So what we have discussed in this lecture in general, we discussed about the methods like box culture and the vertical area systems for crab farming. We discussed about the important consideration for the site selection, soil and water requirements, what is the harvesting procedures, packing and tying of crabs after the harvesting is done, what are the strategies to manage the cost and the constraints of farming in India, and what are the troubleshooting measures that we can adapt for this kind of techniques. So if you ask me what are the takeaways for today's lecture, it's like the box culture methods, which it's a type of farming where the fattening is largely done, whereas the grow out is carried out in a lesser scale. Box culture includes the low maintenance, easy assessment, predictability and the high initial capital investment, but it can be this high capital investment can be somehow neutralized by higher economic return as well. Okay. Vertical area crab culture is emerging technology specially designed for the indoor environment. So, to increase the productivity you do not have to depend upon the oceanic environment or depend upon the coastal region and all. It is recommended for the harvesting of the crabs, includes early in the morning or the evening, and it is very important, and also what are the techniques and strategies that we can go ahead in this particular field in Indian context, and how to troubleshoot them, all these things. Okay. So, these are the references that is very important literatures that you can go ahead and you can search for it, and so to get some more information about it. So, that is it for this module. See you again. Thank you.